Okay, before we get started, any questions? All right. Looks like there are no questions. Okay, so it's just to open the code pen on your side. All right, cool. No questions. Good. Open the code pen on your side, and I'm going to share my screen. All right, do you guys see the code pen? Make sure that you hide HTML, CSS like this. Expand this area and make sure you click on the console. You're gonna have to do this pretty much every time so that we only deal with the JavaScript. And also in the settings, make sure you go to behavior and disable the auto updating preview. So go to the behavior, auto updating preview, and disable. Let me know if you have a question on that. Okay, so in the end, we'll have something like this. We'll have a console. So you have a JavaScript here, and then we have a console here. Okay, I'll give you a minute to open the code pen. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is type conversion, right? So we have this many types. We have strings, right? Numbers. We have Boolean, right? So these are the different types. So let's look at first string to number. Okay. Now you must be asking me, like, how can you convert string to a number, right? So the answer is no, you don't want to convert every string to a number. For example, let's say if you have a string called name, okay, let's say it's my name here, and I want to convert into a number. It doesn't make sense to convert into a number, right? But if you try to convert into a number, one way to do it is using just wrap it with number. So if I simply do console log, let's say number, and then pass name inside to see how it works. If I run this, it would give me something called NaN. NaN is nothing but not a number, okay? Which means I can't convert this to a number. Okay, so it gives you sort of like an error. What software does that? Okay, I'm gonna share, if you did not do this last time, I'm gonna share the link, codepen.io. So it's not a software, just a site, okay, that lets you do that. So if you go to the codepad.io, let's say, and then you can, I think there's, for you, it will be like a start button. So once you do a start button, you will see these 3 blocks, and then just hide the HTML and CSS by just dragging like this. Bring this up here, and then click on console, and then drag this up here. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. So as I said, you cannot really convert a string into a number, a regular string into a number, right? Um, so, but if you want to convert it, let's say 2, right? So this is a string. It is a string because we have put a quotes around it, but um, the value inside is a number, right? So you could convert it into a number. Um, so if I run this one now, this should be 2, right? So it does convert this into an actual number. All right. Um, we can call it like a string number. And then let num equal to number. And then we can just pass the string number through it. And what this does, it converts into a number. And then we can console log the number. Okay. So we started with the this string. Okay. It is a string because it has quotes around it. It's not a number, but it has a numeric value inside it, right? And so all you have to do is uh, pass it through this number function and make sure you have an N capital, right? When I pass it to it, returns an actual number, 2, right? And then you can console log it. So this is how you can convert string to a number. Any questions? All right. So this is the only one you can do from string to a number. It needs to be numeric value. Say if I have a 2.0, it will do exactly do, let's say 2.1, and it would do the same thing. It would make it 2.1 here, right? So it needs to be a numeric value. But if I say like a 2.1 and try to run it, then it doesn't know what to do with this, right? So it'll give you an N, which means not a number. Let's try this out. And again, feel free to, ask questions if you don't know or if you don't understand something. Okay. The next thing is, what if you want to convert a number into a string, right? So let's say if I have a number, 2, and I want to convert into a string, okay? So all you have to do is just like this, wrap it with a string. Make sure S is capital. So this is a function that takes number as an input, and it converts into a string. Okay, so if I run this, oops, sorry, it should be a number. I would get 2. And you can see it's a string because it has quotes around it, right? So let's try this out. All right, should we move on? Let me know if you're still trying something and, if I'm trying to move forward, right? Because I want you to at least try it and then make sure that it works, right? Um, all right. So we try number to string, so string to number. Okay. Now let's try uh, string to Boolean. Now these are kind of like really weird ones because Boolean ones. So let's say if I have a string, let name equal to. Okay. So this is my string, and I want to convert into Boolean. So one way to do it is, I'm just going to name it bool, and you can just wrap it with a Boolean name, right? And then if I console log bool, it should give me some value, right? So the weird thing about this is anytime you pass any string, it would always give you true, okay? Any string with some value. So if I pass, this string, right, with a bunch of random characters, if I run this, it will be true. The only time I don't have, if I get false, is if it's an empty string. This is an empty string with no value inside, no characters inside. So if I run this, then I would get false. Okay. So with string to Boolean, if string has any characters inside, when I convert it to Boolean, it would be true. The only situation where it's false when the string is empty. So the usefulness of this is, you can check if a string is empty or not by, converting into a Boolean, right? If you get a false, then you know the string is empty. Let's try this. And these are kind of I would say, unique techniques. You must be wondering. It's like a learning math, right? Adding and subtracting. Uh, you know, if you want to be good at math, you need to learn about addition and subtraction and all that stuff, right? So this is similar stuff. If you want to become a good programmer, you need to know what the types are, what are the type conversion, because when you do more complex program, you will have to deal with all of these anyway, right? So and again, in the Canvas, I'm also providing videos for each of these topics. So if you ever get confused, you can review those videos, and they're short videos, so you can quick look at it. Okay. All right. So let's move forward. Let's take a number, say number 2, and then I want to convert this number into a Boolean. So same rule applies. If there's any number, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2.5, 3.9, whatever number is, as long as there is some number that is non-zero, it will convert into true. So let's say this one would be true. The only time it gets false is when it's a 0. All right. So yeah, this is how it works. So for string, non-empty string is true, empty string is false. For numbers, 0 is false, all of the values are true. Okay, so that's our string to Boolean, Boolean to string. Any questions? Okay, let's try this out if you haven't already. I'm going to give you a few minutes to try this. Any questions? And again, you can, so anytime you want to convert anything to a string, all you have to do is wrap it with, string, and then you pass whatever here, right? If you want to convert to a Boolean, then you do Boolean, and then pass whatever the value here. Anytime you want to convert into a number, you would do this and pass the value here. So let's say, you know, let's say whatever the value of A is gets converted to string, whatever the value of B is converts to Boolean, and whatever the value of C is gets converted to a number. Okay. So that's how it works. All right. Any question in in conversions? All right. Let's say no. Okay, cool. Let's look at the next topic, which is called string methods. Okay. So strings have, you can do a lot of things with strings. So let's say if I have, let me actually, um, okay, I'm gonna paste this thing for your reference. Uh, um, there are a lot of methods that allow you to, you know, actually, this is probably not a good one. Let me give you a different one. Yeah, this looks like a good one. I'm gonna paste it here. Ignore the first one. So, so what are string methods? So you can do a lot of things with strings. So let's say if I'm looking for something inside a string, first of all, searching, right? I wanna, what am I searching? So let's say I have a string called text equal to, let's say, I love you, right? And I'm looking for love inside this string. So how do I find it? So uh, what I'm looking for here is where exactly this word starts in this string. Now, if you look at the string, think of every character as a position. So I has a position, then there's an empty space, then there's this. So if I have to map it, let me try to map it here. I would start with I is at a 0th position, then you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there are total 9 characters. Well, actually 10 characters, but always start with 0. So I is at the 0th position. Then at one position, there's nothing. It's just empty space. then L is at 2 position. So if I said, okay, I'm looking for a word love inside this string, then it should give me that, oh, I found it at the 2nd position. Okay, so how do I do that? So so if I say position equal to text dot, remember, if I look at this, there's a index of. So I would say index of. You need to write exactly like this. Okay, so you take the string, then you put a dot, and then you would say index of, and then parenthesis. What this does is it will try to find it, but then you need to provide what am I looking for, right? So I'm gonna say this word, love, right? So it will try to search inside this string and return you the position where this word starts, if it's available, right? So in this case, it should be 2. So let's try this. Console log position. Okay. If I run this, it will give me 2, right? Because it found the starting at 2, right? If I try to look for U, right? Anyone can tell me what would it give me if I look for U by looking at this example?
You get 7.
7, yes, because Y is at 7 position, right? So whatever string you have, always map it like this, and always start with a 0. Okay. What if I have multiple of these? So I have this kind of string where I have, you know, uh, multiple U's. Okay. Uh, Now it's always going to find the first one. So no matter how many of these U's are inside, it will always find the first occurrence of this word, which is 7, right? What if I want to find this guy here? So I want to say, give me the second U, right? In that case, I need to start from, instead of, right now it's looking for the very first character, right? But I can say that, hey, look for U, word U, after 8th character, right? So the way to do this is I would pass 8 here. Okay, let's see if it does that. Okay, so what I did is I said, okay, look for U starting from 8th character, right? Which is from this O. So if I put this, right, then this is 9th, then 10th, and then the next U start from 11th. So this gives me 11th, right? So if you have multiple of these and you were looking for a specific one, you can just do this. Once you find it, look for the next one, right? If it cannot find you, then it would give you -1. So let's say if I'm looking for blah inside this. Now there is no blah, right? So it will give you -1. So let's run this. Okay, so it gives me -1 because there is no blah inside this string. Let's try this out. So this is one of the string methods, right? Because you need to find, you should be able to find these um, something inside the string, because ultimately, um, for some application, you're looking for something, right? Some word or things like that, right? So this is a really cool method, index of. So it gives you the index of that word. Any questions? What if you want to find u from the last, right? So here it's looking from the first, right? You can also look for last. So let's say I have these three u's, right? So I can look for u from the end of the string. So in order to do that, in that case, I'm not going to pass anything, which means look for from the end. And then here I would say last index off. So if you look at this, there's a last index off, and always do this last and then I capital and off, right? So in this case, it would give me 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15th. So this is the 15th U, 15th index. Okay, so let's see. The JavaScript gives you all these little tricks that you can use um, to achieve whatever you want. Now you have all these methods at your disposal. You can use however you like, right? Um, cool. Um, there's a search which you can use using a regular expression. We're not gonna do that because we have not um, learned about the regular expression. Um, there's another one called include. Let's try that. It also does a search. So instead of last index, I'm gonna say include, includes. Okay. So include does not give me index. It just says true or false, whether it's inside or not. It doesn't give me anything where exactly it is. So if you all you care about is if it's there or not, then you can just do includes. If it's not there, then it's going to give you false. Okay. So if I try, let's say, blah, and run this, it would give me false here, right? So that's that. There's something called start with. So you can check if something actually starts with that word. So let's say if I want to check if it starts with I, then I can check with it. But you can try all of these, right? All you have to pass is start with I, and it gives you true or false. If you want to start, want to check something like it ends with, you can also do that. The second one is trimming. This is also kind of useful. For example, let's say if you have a bunch of spaces around, and then you want to remove this spaces, then you can simply do trim. You don't have to do anything like this. And then I'm just going to call it result, right? Because it doesn't give me position. So if I run this, it's going to trim the empty spaces from the front and back, right? And you can also trim from the start or end. Let's say if you don't want to trim, all back and forth or back and at the end, you can do specific ones. Okay, let's try that. Um, there are all other ones that you can try. So let's say you have two strings, you want to concat them, and you can look at examples. So if I expand this, you can look at the examples, right? Of so you can try these things out. So as I said, I've given you this. You can also use it replace. So let's say I want to replace, uh, you know, love with hate. So I would say love with hate, and then let's see what happens. It says I hate you, right? So any questions? You guys are quiet today? You can also uppercase or lowercase it, which means let's take it this example. Let's say if I have a hello, right? And I want to do uppercase, so it converts into all caps, right? And you can also do lowercase if you want. And so this site looks like has a lot of good examples, right? So I shared the string in link in the chat. Take a look. Yeah, these are pretty good ones. All right. As I said, this is how you use it. You just text dot and the function name, and look at the configuration of each of these functions, right? What kind of argument it takes. Play around with it, and you'll find out. All right. When you do higher level of programming, you'll need this kind of functions. Yeah. All right. Let's move back to the operators. There are some other operators that we haven't looked at it. So we have a few more minutes, so we can look at it. By the way, any other questions on this one? All right. So let's look at the operators. Remember, we looked at the plus sign, minus sign, and all that stuff, right? So these are the arithmetic operators. So we had the operators like plus, minus, division, and then the multiplication, right? So these are the operators that we have in the arithmetic. There are a few other interesting operators in arithmetic, which are pretty cool. So let's say if I want to increment a number by 1. So let's say if I say let I equal to 1, okay? And if I want to add another 1 to I can say I equal to I plus 1, okay? What this means is take the existing value of I, which is 1, add 1 to it, and save it to I, which means I is going to be now 2, right? So if I do console log I, it will be 2. Let's try this, right? So this is the arithmetic operator plus, okay? But you can also do a different operator that lets you add 1 to it. So let's try this, and I'll show you the next operator in here. Okay, so I can add 1 to it by just doing this, I plus plus, okay? That's all you need to do. If I do I plus plus, which means increment I by 1, which is a cool operator. Okay, so I is 2. What if I want to add more than, like if I say I equal to I plus 5, let's say, there's a short form for this one, which is called I equal to plus 5. Okay. Um, this also adds 5. So if I did this, let's say, so it adds 5s, and it should be 6, right? Because this adds 5 and this makes it 6, right? So this is also an interesting operator. I equal to plus 5. This adds 5 to I, basically. Okay. Similarly, you can do minus as well. So if I do minus, this subtracts 5 from I. So this would be minus 4 and then plus, so 3. Oh, minus 4, sorry. 1 minus 5 is minus 4. Let me move this first. So minus 5. And then plus 1 is minus 4. All right. Similarly, you can do multiplication as well, right? So multiply by 5 or divide by 5, so this would be 0.20, right? If I divide by 1 by 5, it will be 20. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Why did it? Oh, yeah. It's my bad. It's actually, you do the other way around. Sorry. If I want to add plus, then I would say plus equal to 5, not the, because I was like, oh, something is really wrong here. So let's say if I want to subtract 5, then I would say, so this should give me minus 4, right? And then let's say if I did this, then it should give me minus 3. I was like, why is it not minus 3? Right, yeah, okay. So it's a minus equal to the number, yeah. Okay, so these are really cool operators. So as I said, we looked at the plus plus that adds 1. You can do minus minus that subtracts 1. You can do minus equal to, which, subtract whatever the number that you put next, or plus equal to adds that many numbers, right? Slash equal to divide and equal. So it's a short form. You can write it like this perfectly fine. There's no issue. This just gives you a shorthand, right? Just in case if you want to do that way. Any questions? So these are all arithmetic operators.
Is there any way to do exponents?
Yes, you can do exponents as well. Let's do that. So let's say if I have 2, right? And I want to do 2 raised to 5. Okay. So what I would do is I equal to I, then it double asterisk and 5, right? So it's 2 raised to 5. So this would be 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. So 4, 8, 16, 32, I think. All right? Yeah. Yeah, so this is the exponent. There's so many others, right? But if you, and then remember remainder, we looked at the remainder also. So you can also use remainder, which is a percentage. Let me see if I have JavaScript arithmetic operators. There you go. I'm gonna put the link here, right? So we looked at plus, minus, multiplication, division, the modulo operator, which finds you remainders. This is the exponent operator. This is the increment operator, which does the plus, plus, minus, minus, right? Don't look at the unity one. This kind of, yeah. All right. Any questions? So if I want to do square root, how would I do that? So if I have 4, square root of 4 is 2, right? How do I do square root? Which operator should I use for square root? You can use the exponent operator, right? Because square root is nothing but, uh, you know, uh, half the exponent, right? So if I do 0.5 of 4, they should give me 2, right? So this is how you do square root. And you can try other ones like 36. Square root of 36 would be 6, right? Yeah. So you can pretty much do any kind of math. There's also a math library, JavaScript math library. Okay. And there are stuff that, let's say, normal stuff we already cover, right? But let's say if you want to do like a logarithmic stuff, right? Which most of you probably never do, but let's say if you want to do that, then I'm going to give you this resource as well. Let's say I want to find also, cos, a cos sine and all that stuff, right? Trigonometry. And so all of these are available in a math library. So let's do math log 10 base. So let's say if I have 100, okay, I want to find the log of 100. So what I'll do is math log of 100, log base 10 of I, which is 100. Anyone know what this would be? Hundred is nothing but 10 raised to 2, right? So it's the opposite of exponent, right? So it will give me the 2. Right. So you can do the complex stuff. That's why they put everything in a math library so that um, you can access it from there instead of just accessing directly. All right. So you can check it out. It's got a lot of different stuff. You can create a random number using a random. So let's say if I'm doing which we will use. Let's say if I'm flipping the coin, right? And I want a random number every time, right? Head or tail. I can use math.random. You have to do a little bit more work, which we'll cover when it comes to that. We will look at the randomness. Um, this random function right now, it doesn't give you like a head tail kind of stuff. You have to, you know, do a little bit more than um, you know, simple. Like, so if you can look at here, this guy, we haven't covered the functions yet, but you can build a function which with three choices, right? So every time you can get a one, two, or three choices, or have a two choices, right? And things like that. So you can build all of these using that math function. Okay. Again, JavaScript is so vast that if I have to cover every single thing, it would take, you know, quite a long time, to be honest. So what I'm trying to cover is you need to know what's where, and then if you need something, you can look it up, right? That's the strategy because as I say, even this math library has hundreds of functions, right? And um, I don't want to cover every single one. Let's say if I want to find a value of pi, it has it, right? It has a math.pi, which gives you a precise value of pi. So you don't have to write your own pi value, right? So um, so that, yeah. All right. Let's say any other operators. Boolean operator. I think we forgot the Boolean operators. So let's cover the last Boolean operators. Um, Boolean operators are pretty interesting and very important. Um, in in coding, you do two things. You repeat things and you make decisions, right? If you look at life, what do? You you repeat things. I wake up in the morning, I drink my tea or I do X, Y, Z, and then everything is repeated, right? So I make tiny decisions and I repeat things. So in programming, exactly the same thing. Um, so when I make the decisions, we'll look at how to repeat things, but when we make a decision, you need to make a decision with multiple variables. So for example, um, I can say, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat, right? But I also need food. So I can say, if I'm hungry and if I have food, I'm going to eat, right? Because if one of them is not true, I'm not going to eat. So for example, let's say I'm not hungry and I have food, I'm not going to eat. And I am hungry, but I don't have food, then I'm not going to eat, right? So this is called something called AND situation. And um, where both things needs to be true for the final results to be true. So uh, let's create a variable called am hungry, right? Equal to true. Let have food equal to true. Okay. So if I want to say going to eat, I can say, if I'm hungry and have food, right? So the and is this sign, double and, have food, right? Then I'm going to eat. So if I console log going to eat, all right, it will be true. Let's try this. Okay. If I make any of these false, if this is false, I'm not hungry and have food, I'm not going to eat. Okay, let's make it true again and make this false, right? I'm hungry, but I don't have food, then not going to eat, right? And if both are false, don't have food and I'm not hungry, again, false. So the only situation where I'm going to eat is I am hungry and I have food, right? So um, this is called AND operator. Both needs to be true for the result to be true. Otherwise, it's false. If at least one or more are false, then the result is false. Okay, so this is called AND operator. And this is a logical operator, right? Because we are we are taking this logic and combining it to make a decision. Uh, to give you another example, let's say if you're writing a post, let's say you wrote the post, let's say you're writing an Instagram post, right? You wrote the post, but you haven't submitted it. The post is not there, not going to be active, right? Because you've written the post, but you haven't clicked on the submit button. What if you have not written the post and click on the submit button? Still, the post is not going to be active because you haven't you don't have any content. So the only way you can it actually gets posted is if you write some text inside and if you click on the button, right? So AND operator makes sure that uh, uh, all the elements inside around the AND operator needs to be true for the um, for the result to be true. Okay. Any question on this one? Let's try this out. And always is a double end. We're gonna be using this a lot because you're gonna in as I said, two things we do. We make decisions in coding and we repeat things. So this is making a decision part. All right. Can someone give me an example of another AND operator? Another situation where this is true, where I need both to be true for the result to be true. So if I want to go online, right? I need to have a laptop and I need to have internet. They both needs to be true for me to go online. If I have a laptop but I don't have internet, I can't get online. If I have internet but I don't have a laptop, I can't get online, right? OR operator is very different. OR is um, at least one of them needs to be true. Okay. Um, can you give an example? So if both are true, the answer is true. If one of them is true, the answer is true. The only situation where OR operator fails or gives you false is when both are false. Can you give me an example for that? Let's say if I have pizza and I have burritos, right? So I don't need to have both. I can have pizza and I'm gonna eat. I can if I have burrito, I'm gonna eat. I have both, I'm gonna eat either burrito or pizza, but I'm gonna eat, right? The only time I'm not gonna eat is I don't have anything, right? Burrito or so you have multiple choices in that sense, right? That's an or operator. So everyone done with this one? So I can give you the or operator. Okay, let's give you the or operator. Let have pizza equal to true. Okay, let have burrito equal to true, right? Um, let go into eat, excuse me, equal to have pizza, or is represented by two lines, two pipes. Okay, have burrito. Remember the end operator is double end. Or operator is double pipes. So the pipes are, if you have a Mac, it's underneath the delete button or over the return button, right? It's called a pipe operator. Okay. Um, so I'm just going to comment out this because I can't have both to go into eat. So I'm going to take this and then put it here. All right. So they both are true. When I run it, it will be true. If one of them is false, then it's still true, right? The only time it's false is both. I don't have burrito or pizza, assuming that you only have two options. All right, then it's false. So this is or operator. So these are the logical operators. Okay. Again, all of these I already have created short videos for you and put in the canvas. So make sure you take a look at it. All right. Any question on any of that? Okay. Um, that's about it. Make sure, these stuff, you need to really practice. Okay. Uh, a lot of people say coding is difficult because, you know, I give you an example. If I come to your house and you ask me to build, you know, some food, right? Okay. So I can make some pasta. Uh, what is the most difficult thing when I come to your house? I don't know your kitchen, which means I don't know where you keep the salt, pepper, pizza tray, where is your oven, what kind of oven you have. You might have a different oven than I do, right? So all of these is very difficult for me to make pizza. Even though I know how to make pizza, it will be very difficult to make pizza in your kitchen, right? So similarly, when you learn anything new, uh, there are two things. One is a syntax, right? Like how to create a variable, what is an AND operator, what is an OR. So these are tiny little things that you need to remember. And then there's a concepts, right? Which most of you already can easily grasp. Okay. The concept of an OR operator or AND operator, you can easily, you know, get. So a lot of people say coding is difficult. It's because when it comes to doing something, they may not easily can remember all of the syntax, right? Unless they practice a lot. So if I were to cook something in your kitchen, first thing I do, I'll come in your kitchen and I cook small things, right? A couple of things that give familiarize with your kitchen and all that stuff, right? where the flour is, where the spoon is, and all that stuff. And then, so I need to do a lot of cooking before I can make something big, right? So the same thing, practice, practice, practice. Okay. Um, Practice a lot, and programming would become much easier for you. And again, I have to cover a lot of things, but that's why I go a little bit faster. And that's why I also made the videos, so you can always go back and refer to the videos if you're confused. But make sure that you do a lot of practicing. Okay. Um, I I believe I gave you some homework today as well, so make sure that you finish it to simpler homework. So it should not take too long, right? Um, but as we progress, I'll give you a little bit more, uh, because right now it's just very simple stuff, right? So, any questions? All right, cool. All right, yeah. If you have a question, ping me on Canvas or ping me on Discord. If something doesn't make sense in the homework or something quick, if you need a quick response, you can send me a quick message in Discord, right? So yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you next week then. I'll post the video of the recording as well, in the Discord. Yeah. All right. See you next week. And next week we will go cover some other stuff like uh, of, if and else statements where you have to really make decisions. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll talk to you next week.